Bravo.
Hoi.
Hola.
Waseflan.
Ahoy.
Sveik.
Привіт.
Hallo.
Ciao.
Salut. Hello.
And welcome to Policy Voices by Friends of Europe, an independent think tank with a difference. Each week from Brussels, we bring you powerful conversations with policy voices from around the world. Policy Voices talking policy choices. Hello and welcome to the second episode of a 5-part series of Policy Voices exclusively dedicated to the European elections. I'm your host, Catarina Vila Nova. Each day this week, we are bringing you a brand new episode on 5 key election topics. I spoke with representatives from 5 parties on the issues that are going to dominate not only the elections, but also the next mandates. Yesterday, you heard where each party stands on European security and defense, and what are the top policy proposals they will bring forward on the next mandate. Today, you will hear from representatives on artificial intelligence. First on the show today is Didrik de Schaetzen, the Secretary General of the ALDE Party.
Oh, that's an easy question in the way that this was extremely important for us. As you know, digital agenda in general is very much liberal. We sometimes joke around saying that the D of ALDE should stand for digital. But I think where this was both a project led by Vera Jourova, but also Thierry Breton and Vestager, very much so. On artificial intelligence, you can really say that we are the ones that found a compromise on this field, saying that yes, we regulate it because it's necessary on some points, but we left room for innovation, which is something very dear to our heart. We left room for the use of AI for police in terms of crimes, fightings, etc. So we found a first set of rules for this new technology, but we're quite optimistic about it, and we want to embrace it because we want European champions in this particular field. So I think that is part of the things that we really want to set up. Now, preempting your second question of what concrete proposals, I think here this AI Act is so recent that we are in a situation where we want to implement it. We fought for it, we got it, but the priority in this field is to make sure we implement the AI Act. And maybe a second one would be a more overall achievement is to try to get some leadership in some of these fields. You know, we feel a bit frustrated that where's the European Google? Where's the European Meta? Why did Spotify not stay fully Swedish? Why did Skype not stay Estonian Swedish and became... So we'd like to have leadership and innovation in that field. And there, and I'll preempt some questions probably you'll have later on, but the single market is something that helps us to achieve some of these champions. And so supporting the single market is also a concrete proposal of how to support AI technologies innovations.
Next year, what Giacomo Filibeck, the Secretary General of the Party of the European Socialists, had to say on his party's priorities and policy proposals for artificial intelligence.
Intelligence can be a great opportunity, and it is, in fact, a great opportunity for our societies. It can help us tremendously in sectors like medicine, health, but also engineering and research large. However, we need to be cautious and we need to remind ourselves what has happened in the past during the former industrial revolutions. This digital, still industrial revolution needs to respect workers' rights, to respect our fundamental values, and to serve and humans' needs first. It is important what happened in the past mandate with the adoption of several measures like the DSA, EMA, and the AI, the Artificial Intelligence Act. On this, I would like to commend especially the role that our MEP, Brando Benifei, played as a co-rapporteur, managing to bring a solid majority in Parliament to have a successful legislation on the topic, and in fact to be a champion for the rest of the world, being the first one trying to regulate, to give a first set of rules to AI. So we can say that today our data are better protected. Social media platform can get fines if they don't control hate speeches, and we try to ensure a fair competition in digital space. However, we also feel that we need to go beyond. First of all, by ensuring that Europe harnesses the power of AI to protect workers and citizens alike, as I said at the beginning. Then There is the aspect of protecting better our children in the digital sphere. And third, we need to ensure also that if the damage caused by the AI arises, then citizens should be compensated accordingly. I would say that the very first one is to continue to make sure that we put in place the so-called human in control principle for artificial intelligence. The human in control, not the algorithm, not the machine. When it comes to human, it is humans that have the final decision making. Then there is the other aspect that is more related to exactly to what we are doing in these weeks, and the reason why you are interviewing us in relation to elections. It's crucial that we implement clear rules to safeguard our democracies from foreign interference. And in that sense, it is equally important to tackle the disinformation and all the safeguard policy. See what has happened in Sweden just in this last couple of days. It is now well known that the Swedish Democrats, member of ECR, has been behind the abuse of the public space by exploiting a troll factory to launch a disinformation campaign over the past years, and they're not shy about it. In fact, they don't mind to have been caught guilty and responsible of it. This is deteriorating, polluting, in fact, killing the very same democratic fabric of our political debate. Because if we found that debate in false, fake news, by artificial, manufactured information, then the whole confrontation between different political options become dragged, become perverted. And then we don't make the good service that you want to achieve with this podcast by presenting different, clear options for the citizens. I conclude, what is illegal offline must be also illegal online. So in this sense, we have to protect everyone from hate speech, online violence, and harassment. It is crucial for every citizen, especially relevant to protect our children, but it is also especially relevant in a political electoral campaign like the one we are facing today. Just to remind ourselves that yesterday, the Prime Minister got shot in the streets in Slovakia. The Slovakian Prime Minister got shot 4 times. 2 weeks ago, Matthias Ecke, an MEP from Germany, got brutally attacked overnight while he was distributing materials of his campaign in the streets. The former mayor of Berlin, Franziska Giffey, also attacked from the back. This is the translation of what happens online. You think that since it happens online, hate and violence then can be tolerated. But then there may be someone that translated it into action and becomes offline. We have to be extremely careful with that.
Listen now to Simon McKeagney, the head of communications of the Greens.
It's one of these huge disrupting technologies that we've yet to see really the full impact of it. It's early days, and already the change and the ability of it is just so incredible. We're already using it in our workplace on a very low scale in a multi-language environment where English might not be everyone's first language. It's actually very helpful from a communication point of view to run it through GDP chat and then see what works and then tailor it for videos and all of the rest. But one thing we have really fought for and our MEPs have really fought for is to ensure that the framework in which this exists is protecting fundamental rights and is ethical in its approach. So, I mean, we were big supporters of the AI Act. We didn't get everything we wanted in, but we think, there was enough robust safeguards to protect fundamental rights and democratic principles and the environment in the AI Act. It's things you don't necessarily think about with that sort of technology, but if, it's because it's still designed by humans, it's fundamentally going to be flawed in many ways. And if you start outsourcing decision making to AI that is not founded in sort of human rights or legal principles or fundamental rights, you can end up with some serious issues there. Yeah, so we ensured, for instance, in the AI Act, that we will ban a number of the most problematic practices in the EU, such as emotional surveillance of students and employees, or AI used in certain instances of predictive policing or categorization of citizens. So these sort of things that if you don't build into the models sort of democratic norms, things can go wrong very badly. And that's why the AI Act is so historical. It's the first one, I think, in the world, and we hope it follows suits across the world with that. So, and I think there the EU really plays to its advantage. You know, GDPR, when it came in last mandate, that was also a Green co-rapporteur who brought that in. You know, it has a huge knock-on effect around the world. Then I think in a very positive way to give more control back to citizens and people, and that your rights don't end when you start using the internet or digital world. And I think that'll be the same with AI. We'll have to keep a close eye on how it develops. But our approach will always be to ensure that, human fundamental rights and rule of law kind of are embedded into the architecture of it. I mean, I think there, which is such a shifting space, and it's changing literally month by month. We're going to have to really see how this AI Act is implemented, and if it does provide those robust safeguards to protect fundamental rights and democratic principles. I think the big test around that will be to see how AI influences elections, how AI is used by sort of nefarious groups to try and influence elections and other democratic processes. For that, we're just going to have to see. I think the main thing is we'll come at it from a human rights point of view to make sure that even if it is artificial, that we don't lose our human rights through those processes.
Next is David Lundy, the head of communications of the left.
We're in favor of the ethical development and regulation of artificial intelligence and big tech companies to protect people's rights and privacy. One thing, and I can go to that in the more concrete section, but we're opposed to the use of facial recognition technology because of its potential for mass surveillance and discrimination. And our focus has been in our approach to the AI Act, for instance, is on ensuring transparency, accountability, and making sure that technology serves people and not profit. We need to safeguard against corporations that want to use people's privacy for their own profit gains. So we want to ban facial recognition completely because of the risks of mass surveillance in public spaces. The AI Act took some measures towards restricting the use of facial recognition, but there were too many exceptions. The Parliament as a whole had actually wanted a ban on real-time facial recognition in public spaces, but a lot of loopholes have been introduced since the trilogue agreement on that. Also, the AI Act, the regulation that's just been approved, allows emotion recognition. So these, systems are really high risk and should be banned by EU regulation. And we consider overall what's happened with the AI Act in the last few months a real missed opportunity for the European Union.
And lastly on today's show, Axel Voss, MEP for the European People's Party.
AI especially is very important because it's the fundament of everything what is coming next in digital development. The European Commission should interpret the rules, not what we have in the GDPR, where every member state can do this. And we would like to see also developed standards that companies are using. These standards can go directly to the market. We would like to see also this elimination of overlaps from legal tools and also from governance tools. And this is why we think these additional measures can lead to a success of the AI Act. What I'm expecting for the next mandate here is more, let's say, the life. So we do not need new regulations also, but we do need a kind of a very specific forward ongoing and filling all these uncertainties with more concrete examples, use cases, interpretations, guidelines, templates, and so on. In addition, there is still on the table the question of the AI liability. And here we need to single out or sort out what is still left, because we have already the product liability in place. And here we need now to find out if there is a kind of a loophole. And I would see it in a way that generative AI especially needs a kind of a AI liability rule. So, and this would be what I would consider in AI. What I also would say, because of the overlapping to the GDPR, probably we need also to modernize the GDPR in this direction, because as a legislator, we would like to see the results out of AI should be gender balanced, it should be non-biased, it should be non-discriminatory. And that's why we will need a lot of personal data massively to train the algorithms. And therefore, we need to align this with the GDPR better, and also with other legal tools in place. Also, what I would like to see is a kind of a interpretation of the rules done by the Commission for the whole single market, for the whole European Union, that we do not have created legal uncertainty in this regard. What I also would say is need to be solved is the question of generative AI and law, the enforcement of individual rights, personality rights, copyrights. This is something, is kind of a specific problem, but it's necessary also to create legal certainty, because so far nobody knows how you can enforce these individual rights or copyrights with a generative AI tool. And a very specific question, yes, but this would mean also the way forward, and that we are keeping everything in a kind of a balance.
And that was it for today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow with the third episode of this 5-part series of Policy Voices exclusively dedicated to the European elections. Tomorrow will be all about climate change and the green transition, so make sure to subscribe to Friends of Europe's podcast to be notified as soon as the episodes are available. I'm Catarina Vila Nova, and I'll be with you again tomorrow. Goodbye.